Welcome to the Marketing Mentors podcast, brought to you by Red Pandas Digital. My name's Tasha and I'm here with Linda. How are you today, Linda?
I'm good, T. I am so excited to talk about what we're talking about today.
As am I. These are some pretty cool things that we've picked up recently. For anyone listening that's not aware, we are doing a coaching course, Linda, myself, and another colleague, Moby. We are doing that through Impact. They're an agency based in the States, and we're basically picking up on some coaching skills, consulting skills, and really learning how to take our service and retain our business to the next level. During these sessions, which we're doing every week, like I said before, we've picked up on some really cool tips on how to be better communicators. And literally when we've learnt those in the last few weeks, Linda, I know how excited I've been to implement them, and even more so excited today to actually get to share them with our network and our community.
For those of you who are listening as well, so we're learning off a guy called Chris. He's a pretty cool dude. He's from Connecticut. He has over 2 decades of experience when it comes to leadership from both the military world but also the business world. He brings so much energy, and he's teaching us all these incredible things that I guess from a communication point of view and a power diminishing point of view, things that we say that are power diminishing, things that we probably knew that we were doing but haven't stopped them or ever paid attention to them. And then he's taught us some things that we just were kind of mind blown with and had no idea.
Yeah.
So we're bringing a few of those to the table today. A few things that we know that we shouldn't do and we've tried to stop doing, and then a few fresh things that we're starting to implement at the same time.
Yeah.
So on that note, let's get into it, T.
Awesome.
I guess our first power diminishing thing that most people are probably doing and we recommend to stop is asking, how are you at the beginning of a call?
Oh, I love this one, Linda. You know why? Because I used to do it all the time. And you'll find that a lot of people do it. We do it because, it's what people do. When you see someone, especially now in this world of Teams, the first thing we do is we say, oh, hey, how are you today? And then the minute we do that, we're kind of like going, oh, here's the speaking baton. You can start talking now. And it's a super loaded question, right? Because we don't know what they're going to respond back with. It could be as simple as, yeah, I'm really good, thanks. How are you? And like, okay, cool, nice and easy. But what if, and this happened, I know it's happened to me, it's probably happened to you as well, where a client might turn around or a prospect might turn around after you said, hi, how are you today? And they're like, oh God, I've had a horrible day. This is what's going on. And it's just like negative.
Or even worse, they derail the entire meeting.
Yeah.
Because before you can even start your agenda of what you planned, you ask them the question of, hey, how are you? And you get that response where it's like, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Where are you on this? Where are you on that?
Yep.
We're late on this. I'm stressed. Like, what are you guys doing?
And just derail you.
Yeah.
And you asked, how are you? So
trying to build rapport.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why we do it. I guess from a client point of view, previously asked the question to try and build rapport and get them to like you and learn things about them.
Yeah.
But in reality, you can still learn things about them, but just not asking them that question that has so much power to diminish.
So exactly, so much load behind it to take that and when we say power, I don't mean like, oh, you have to have all of the power in the conversation all of the time. It's just being able to, you've called this meeting with your client or with your prospect and you want to guide the meeting in a way so that you get to the desired outcome, whether it be communicating a monthly report, getting them to sign up for a deal or whatever it might be, but it's just guiding them in the right way and keeping the power, we say, equal. So as opposed to saying, hi, how are you, sorry, I would recommend, and I've been trialing this for the last few weeks with my clients as well, but start the call strong, authoritative, obviously not like a dickhead, but just, come into the call, morning everyone, really looking forward to kicking off today.
Yeah.
And straight into it.
Yeah.
So really kind of like minimizing that small talk and that opportunity to allow for the call to be derailed and go off the charts.
One thing that I've found, T, that I've been trying to do is instead of saying, hey, how are you? I've been trying to maybe find something that I can talk about at the beginning just as an icebreaker. Yep. So maybe they have a guitar in the background and I comment on that.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're wearing a t-shirt and it has a certain brand that I can kind of bounce off and associate with.
Yeah, Linda would be able to bounce off brands. If anyone's listening, she's a bit of a Roxanne and loves her brands. So she'd definitely be like, I love that Gucci shirt you're wearing. But yeah, look, on that note, some examples of things that you might want to say as opposed to, hi, how are you today? Like I said before, hey everyone, really looking forward to getting started. We've got a full-on agenda, so let's get straight into it.
Straight into it. All right, let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, not using pace and tone and silences enough when you're communicating with people. This one I haven't really thought of much before Chris mentioned it, to be honest. It's not something that I've really paid attention to. Whenever I have an agenda for a meeting, usually I want to get straight to it and get through it and talk through it. There's so much to talk through. You almost feel like you want to sound like you're authoritative by bringing a lot to the meeting, but half of it is the way that you communicate. I haven't thought about it much until now.
Yeah, I get this one. I did like years ago. I did like performance art, and I was basically told by some artistic actress about how we should, raise our voice and bring it back down and use pauses and allow for people to go on that journey with our voice and the different ways we're going and all that type of stuff. But we're not always cognizant of this, and often it's not until we kind of reflect back, listen to ourselves and go, whoa, I was talking really fast.
Yeah,
I could have used some more breaks, silences, pauses, change the tone, allow my, my audience to feel my energy and go through that journey with me. And yeah, definitely, like I said before, you're not always aware of this. You're not always cognizant of it until someone points it out to you.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, slow down or put some pauses in there. Because when we try and talk too quickly and we try and get all these ideas out, sometimes things just get missed. And, when we're sharing a monthly report to a client and, last month they got 300 leads, which is an incredible amount of leads, but then we kind of just glean over it and move on and we don't give that moment its time that it deserves with pauses, tonality, that type of stuff. We lose the emphasis.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to share on this is some tips on how you can get better at using your pace and tone and silences. And that would be one, if you record your calls, definitely go back and listen to them. I think that's such an underrated thing that you can do. Go back, listen to your calls, and you will actually see if you use those pauses and tones at all. And if you don't, be observant of them.
I've been doing that too. I've been looking at a few of my previous calls, and I've noticed for me, and this is like across the board, it's a natural response, but I know when I'm nervous, I talk really quickly.
Yep.
When my heart rate goes up, I've picked that up, and I guess trying to slow that down is something where, like you say, it's easier for people to follow along with the journey when you're talking in a more slower paced, relaxing tone. Yeah,
exactly. And let things sink in. So when you say something that is of valuable, or it's a really kind of good little nugget of information, let it sink in, let it be marinated by that person you're talking to, so that emphasis is there, the engagement is there, the value add is there.
Yeah. I'd say on that as well, if you're talking about something serious, this is when I'd recommend for people to slow down, kind of lower their tone.
Yep.
And even if you're on Teams, lean into the camera a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that.
So really slow the pace like I'm doing now and really let things sit. And pauses become really important.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if you're talking about something really exciting, like someone's results that they've gotten, maybe it's a 20% increase of web traffic that they've just gotten, that's when it's time to kind of increase the tone of your voice. Maybe you can talk a little bit quicker. Stand up, move around, clap, whatever it might be that kind of shows that energy and that excitement that you're feeling. Yeah. Which is a really nice segue into our next item. Yeah. And for those of you listening, I'm going to get better with my segues, I promise. But look, the next item we want to share with you is the overuse of filler words. So I want to really emphasize the overuse of filler words. We all use filler words, and we're going to continue to use filler words. We're human. It's a human thing we do. We're not
walking around with scripts on our life as to how we need to talk, but we definitely need to be cognizant and aware of if we use a filler word or filler words often. For me personally, I use 100% all the time.
Yeah, that's yours.
100%. Like, and you'll hear it in this podcast. I'm like 100%. It's probably one of my favorite filler words. And obviously, that's another one. So I'm aware of them, and I'm not trying to get rid of them like fully because, like I said, you're human, and the best thing you can do is just be yourself. Because when you're yourself, your natural, heart on your sleeve self, that's when, you know, the humanity filters through, and that's what people connect with.
Yeah.
With that said, the overuse of filler words, we can lose value sometimes. Sometimes it can seem like we're not sure of what we're talking about, so we can maybe lack a little bit of confidence. And sometimes the overuse of filler words, like shows a bit of lack of confidence maybe, or what, you know, something like that, like unpreparedness. There you go.
Yeah.
Here's me not finding filler words and not being able to figure out what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
exactly.
Mine's and actually.
Yep.
I use them all the time.
Yeah,
and I'm conscious when I use them, but like you say, they're just filler words and they help me calculate and think about what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. But being at least cognizant of what you're saying allows you to kind of use them less. And it's not about not using them, like you said, because you still need to be natural and we're human, but just trying not to use them so much.
Yeah.
Even with emails, so less about like verbal, but even written, using the word just. I used to use that all the time by saying like, I'm just following up on this, but removing that word just and just saying following up, or I'm following up on this.
Yeah.
Like almost just acts like a protector word.
Yeah.
So that you're not being forceful or direct.
Too direct, yeah.
Yeah.
But you should be direct.
Yeah.
Get rid of that just. Following up on this, how's it going? Like straight out, you know exactly what you're trying to get out of that call or email or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Look, I will go into the next item, and that is let me go back a second. I've got some tips for those of you that are using too many filler words. So if you think, or you're not sure if you might be that person that's using filler words, rewatch those calls. So similar to what I mentioned before about, figuring out how to get your tone and pace and pauses right, rewatch the same calls with maybe a little box on a paper that says like tone, pace, and then another one saying filler words, and just kind of critique yourself. Am I using a lot of filler words? Which ones am I using? Am I using them too much?
That's a good idea.
I wouldn't be overly harsh on yourself. It's always, be kind to yourself. There's nothing wrong with filler words, like we said before.
Well, yeah, because I guess a lot of people give the advice to just cut them out.
Cut them out.
Don't use filler words because it's super power diminishing. But I don't agree with that. I feel like some filler words are okay because it's just natural.
And if you cut out too many filler words, you end up doing these ones where you're like,
I
can't figure out what I'm trying to say. Exactly, like me 2 minutes ago, because you're trying to figure out what to say without saying So it's a balance, like a lot of things, but definitely rewatch your calls. Maybe pre-plan some transition. So if you know you're going to be going between items, like in a podcast, and you're not sure how to segue into certain things, have a think about what are some nice segues from one item to another, or if you're in a meeting, from one moment into another moment.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, and just be yourself. Don't overthink things. When you overthink things, that's when it just gets like a bit too much and you feel like you've got imposter syndrome or something like that,
Exactly.
All right, next one I want to talk about is going overtime in a meeting. I can't stand it when people go overtime in a meeting. But
I'm working on this.
Yeah, I think we all are always, but it happens so much. So, look, I've got some statistics just here because everyone loves numbers. This one's from Workplace Insights by Microsoft. 70% of all meetings keep employees from working and completing their tasks. So not only do meetings keep people away from what they actually need to do, but when you're in a meeting and it goes over time, you're continuing to keep them from what they need to do, and you're kind of like showing that you're a bit unorganized maybe.
Yeah.
Or you haven't scheduled enough time for that call.
Yeah.
And you tend to, coming back to that power dynamic, you're losing a bit of respect and or power or control.
Yeah.
That you don't know how to run an effective and efficient meeting.
And at the time, I know for myself, when I've gone over, I go over because we're on a topic that's really important at that time. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I want them to really feel like I care about their time and I care about what we're talking about. So I don't have a meeting right now. Let me just go 5-10 minutes over because I'll really appreciate it. But trying to be helpful and seeming like wanting to be perceived as you're trying to be helpful comes at the cost of also being perceived as someone who can't manage their time.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're in an industry where if we kind of keep giving all this extra time to all of our clients, we're going to end up with no time to actually do the work. So it's important to respect our own time and our clients' time always. And if we have a meeting that goes for an hour, it finishes on the hour. If you're worried that the meeting is going to go over, and because you notoriously go over for meetings, book yourself an extra half an hour or 45 minutes in that meeting. Yep. And then kind of start the meeting with, hey guys, I've allocated an hour and a half. We shouldn't need more than an hour. So if you go to the full hour and a half, you haven't kind of overtaken anyone else's time or your own, and you've used the time that's been allotted, as opposed to going half an hour over. Some people might drop out, so they miss important information, or they just they start to disregard things, and there's that seed of doubt possibly planted in their minds that, hey, these guys don't know how to manage their time very well. So it's just, being cognizant, aware of certain things, and just, setting yourself up for success, really. Book yourself an hour and a half.
It'd be remiss of me not to say as well, I feel like the dynamic of meetings and going overtime is quite different, like in corporate world versus agency world. Yep. In corporate world, I agree with the stats that you said, how a lot of the time you're in meetings and you're like, oh, this is wasting my time. Why are we having this meeting? It shouldn't go for this long, and an email would have sufficed. But in digital world, when you're dealing with your clients, they're paying for your time to a degree.
Yeah, 100% they are.
I tend to find that it's harder to manage the meetings, and it's something that I'm working on, but manage the meetings within the time limit, because I know my clients are trying to have me face-to-face as long as they can before I move on to another client. And so I find that the pressure of managing the time is definitely harder when it comes to digital agency meetings as opposed to corporate.
That agency and services relationship. Yeah, it's different. It definitely is different. And it's just, again, booking that extra time, being aware of, okay, I normally go over, so I'm going to do my best here to keep it to time.
Yeah.
And when you're in that meeting and you start to kind of see things that might be a little bit derailing, be aware of them and kind of note, hey, look, client, prospect, I'm really keen, really excited to talk more about this. I'm just going to pop it to the side, and we're going to get through the key outcomes that we need of today, whatever it might be. With that said, sometimes, like you said before, clients or prospects might go on tangents where they need to because it's helping them get to an understanding or the next level or whatever it might be. And that's fine. Let that happen. But just keep your eye on the clock so okay, let them go for this tangent. But then come 3:30, we've got to finish this meeting because I have to respect all of our time. Yeah. And keep that kind of power dynamic 50-50. Their time's valuable just as much as my time.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes me into my next topic and our last topic. So number 5.
Can I say as well, just on that, one last thought is in regards to managing that time in the end, what I found helps. So when we're getting to the last 10 minutes of the meeting and I can see maybe we've still got an agenda to go, or maybe we're on the last topic, but it's starting to drag on, I'll highlight the time. I'll say, hey guys, we have 2 minutes left.
Yep.
Let's move on because I really need to chat about this next thing. Or guys, just cognizant, we have 2 minutes left.
Yep.
And then I'm going to have to jump off.
Yeah, reminding them what time's left.
And it almost sounds a bit forceful, but it's fine because I've realized clients don't have to like me. They have to respect me.
Yeah, 100%. There's my filler word. I literally, guys, if you're listening, this stuff that we are sharing, we've implemented ourselves over the last few weeks. And I have noticed a huge shift in the way my clients speak to me, the way my clients work with me. And
oh my God, yeah.
All positive stuff. And you can see that kind of relationship just growing even more so because there's this newfound level of equal respect between the two of us
to watch.
Yeah, it is. It is really exciting.
Always I've thought, okay, my what I do is most important, right? Clients have to like me and they have to know that I'm good at my job. But half of that is just being able to communicate effectively.
Yep.
And that in turn makes you look even better at what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've learned over time that your craft is just as important as your communication.
Yeah,
they go hand in hand.
There it is. Your craft is just as important as communication. Every podcast is always one of those little awesome lines, and that was it. Yeah. All right, last item, Linda. What is it?
Okay, saying thank you for your time at the end of a meeting.
This is a good one.
I did this every meeting.
Every meeting. I'll be like, thank you so much for your time. Speak to you next week.
So nice to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Look, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong when you have to thank someone that's just spent their whole weekend helping you move houses. Thank them for their time, man. Like they could have been doing 1,000 other things. But when you're in that meeting with your prospect or your client and you're bringing them, valuable information or valuable training or valuable resources, whatever it is, kind of just comes back to all the other things that we've said. Your time is just as important and equal as their time. So when you thank someone for their time, you're kind of like subconsciously devaluing your own time and putting theirs a little bit higher than yours.
All for the will of trying to look more kind.
That's it. And like build a rapport with them, which you've all probably already built. And at the end of the day, we're in business and we're here to get results. And so when we thank people for their time, we don't realize just the damage we are doing long term by shifting that power dynamic.
Yeah.
So instead of saying thanks for your time, there's some things that I've been working with over the last few weeks, and that is at the end of the call, at the end of the session, whatever it might be, I'll be like, that was a fantastic session, Linda. I'm so excited for our next steps. I'll speak to you next week. Or whenever the next point of contact is going to be.
Not feeling like you have to have all the filler conversation again like you did at the beginning of the meeting. Just saying, okay, nice session, guys. We have a bit to work on. I'll see you next week.
And that's
keeping it super short.
Short, sweet, simple, to the point, equal power. No one person's time was more valuable than the other, and finishing that call right on the time that it's meant to finish.
And I'll say, when you first start implementing this stuff, you definitely feel like you're being more
direct.
Direct. And maybe it feels at first like you're building less rapport, and you're kind of feeling a bit uneasy whether your client is picking it up or whoever you're chatting to is picking it up, but it starts to feel more natural as you go on. And on top of that, you start to have better conversations.
Because you're not worried about the fluff around it. Do you know what I mean? There's time and place for fluff, don't get me wrong.
Totally.
But that's another podcast. Look, with that said, Linda, any other closing comments you want to add?
No, I mean, if anyone has any tips for us, we are definitely all ears. These are just some of the things that we've been implementing in our daily interactions with clients, even personal life. I've been implementing this as well. Talk to my mum and
leave. You're welcome for my time, mum. No, that's not what we mean, guys. That's not what we mean. Like I said, if your mate helps you move on the weekend, thank them for their time. They've just given you up their own personal time. All right. Well, that was an awesome podcast, Linda. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, T.
Look, guys, the idea of this podcast is to answer your questions. So definitely please go and follow us on LinkedIn, Linda D'Amico, Tasha Del Bianco. Send us your questions, any ideas on what we should talk about next. All the best.
Thanks, guys.